Being queer is great, and we love it, but it can also be tough. We often face challenges that our cisgender and heterosexual counterparts don't experience, like coming out, rejection, discrimination, and an intense desire to be accepted and loved. So it's understandable that we sometimes want to let down our fierce exteriors and let those emotions flow over us. And what better way to do that than to see our own experiences reflected in beautiful stories on the big screen? Here's 20 best gay films that will leave you ugly crying. But first, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell, because we'll be bringing more videos like this for you every week.
The Normal Heart, directed by American Horror Story and Glee creator Ryan Murphy, might be the most devastating LGBTQ film of all time. Set in 1980s New York, this adaptation of Larry Kramer's award-winning play depicts the rise of HIV/AIDS as seen through the eyes of Ned Weeks, Ruffalo, the founder of a prominent HIV advocacy group. It features standout performances from many high-profile names, including Julia Roberts as a sympathetic nurse on an AIDS ward. An easy watch this is not, but the story and message it brings is so incredibly important. It is an Emmy-worthy performance and certainly one for the finest roles Ruffalo has ever mastered. I was moved to tears by the duo's relationship and Bomer's performance. Moonlight is a queer coming-of-age tale that charts the life of a disenfranchised African-American man in poverty-stricken Miami. It's received widespread critical acclaim since its release and was rewarded for its brilliance with 3 Oscars back in 2017. It's an emotional roller coaster for any viewer, but especially anyone who's struggled to accept themselves for who they really are. Most importantly, it offered a rare chance for Black gay men to see themselves reflect on screen. It's a striking odyssey of profound emotional effect, deeply authentic and painfully honest. Moonlight is a film that moved me to my core. Every shot is stunning, and the story is incredibly raw and real. This tear-jerking drama brings Timothy Conegrave's acclaimed 1995 memoir to the screen. It follows Timothy and John, who fall in love in 1970s Australia, and chronicles their beautiful, but heartbreaking, 15-year relationship. Like we said, it's a tearjerker, so make sure you're stacked up on tissues. Tim and John fell in love while teenagers at their all-boys high school. Their romance endured for 15 years to laugh in the face of everything life threw at it: the separations, the discrimination, the temptations, the jealousies, and the losses. It is brilliant storytelling and develops a depth and breadth to this film that was surely there in real life. Broach Mountain is a film rarely seen in Hollywood today, with its earnest and unbiased portrayal of homosexuality. This film is ultimately about the paralysis of regret and how it fractures the lives of not just those afflicted by it, but everyone else around them. Winner of 3 Academy Awards, including Best Director, Broach Mountain is a sweeping epic that explores the lives of 2 young men, a ranch hand and a rodeo cowboy, who meet in the summer of 1963 and unexpectedly forge a lifelong connection. The complications, joys, and heartbreak they experience provide a testament to the endurance and power of love. Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal deliver emotionally charged, remarkably moving performances in a movie that is destined to become one of the great classics of our time. Tragic, heartfelt, and bittersweet. In 1987, when the martial law period ended, 2 Christian high school students, Jiahan and Birdie, met at the school band led by a Canadian priest. One day, they were granted a day off to Taipei for the late president's funeral. The 2 took a chance to explore the city and theaters, finding themselves inspired by budding love and freedom. Of the few dozen LGBTQ films in the history of Taiwanese cinema, Luz has been the most successful at the box office. Your Name Engraved Herein, which premieres globally on Netflix, is Taiwan's highest-grossing LGBTQ-themed movie of all time. Taiwan is one of the rare exceptions in Asia with marriage rights for same-sex partnerships, director Liu says. The LGBT communities need a movie like this to tell them, you are allowed to love, you are not guilty. Set in the Soviet Air Force during the Cold War, it tells the true story of forbidden love between a private and a fighter pilot. Co-written and co-produced by the exceptionally brave storyteller Tom Pryor, Firebird softly paints the true memoir of theater artist Sergei, Pryor's character. His undying love for a newly stationed fighter pilot Roman, whom he has served as a young private during his Air Force days in 1970s Cold War-era Estonia under the KGB watchdog. The film draws lines of questioning lifelong friendship and social tolerance for homosexuals who fought to make an honest living. Openly gay and civil rights activist Peter Rebane did not just shy away his feature directional debut from plain old-fashioned first kiss in the rain or role-playing scenes. He shows both normal hearts for one another in Soviet uniform. It's lush, sentimental, and thrilling, and it's a gay love story for the ages. It has triumph and heartbreak. Contra Corrient, also known as Undertow, is a bittersweet, heart-rending gay fantasy that thrived within the natural limitations of its setting and time period instead of being bound by an unusual ghost story set on the Peruvian seaside. A married fisherman struggles to reconcile his devotion to his male lover within his town's rigid traditions. Miguel is a young fisherman from Cabo Blanco, a fishing village in northern Peru that is anchored to traditional and fundamentalist customs. He is married to Mariela, who is expecting their first child. Miguel has a secret relationship with Santiago, a painter from a wealthy family who does not hide his homosexuality. On the contrary, Miguel, conditioned by the prejudice against homosexuality harbored by his fellow villagers, has many problems showing himself to be in love with a man. It's one of my favorite hidden gems, low budget, quietly atmospheric, beautifully acted with an absorbing finale. Based on Makoto Takayama's semi-autobiographical novel, director Daishii Matsunaga's Egoist is a uniquely sexy and heartfelt drama about family. Kosuke, a fashion magazine editor in his mid-30s, revels in the blessings of his comfortable lifestyle. When he hires Ryota, a personal trainer, in order to get into shape, he gets more than he bargained for. The two fall in love, but when Kosuke discovers Ryota secretly works as an escort to provide for himself and his mother, the two men strike a financial agreement. However, when tragedy strikes, Kosuke and Ryota's mother grow closer and must confront a new future together. A thought-provoking, authentic queer love story set in contemporary Tokyo that transcends clichés and stereotypes. We couldn't create a list like this without featuring Call Me by Your Name. In just a couple of years, it's become one of the most beloved gay films of all time. For all the criticism it's faced, whether it's the age gap or the fact that it's set in the 1980s and doesn't address the AIDS crisis, the themes of first love, heartbreak, and the intense emotions queer young adults feel when becoming who they're meant to be are relatable for everyone. And that final scene, as the credits roll, will leave you a wreck. Beautifully tender but unapologetically brazen, Call Me by Your Name is a sensual, fearless depiction of first love. Two gay teenagers in the late 1970s rural southern USA start a relationship. Dream Boy tells the story of Nathan, a new boy in town who falls for Roy, a school bus driver and student. Everything in this movie is very laid down, linear and simple. Demonstrates how even the smallest movie can deliver a powerful, touching story. This one didn't move much from the starting point, but it delivers a very strong message, and it does that in a very beautiful way. I found the ending a little confusing, but in line with the rest of the movie. Many things are left unsaid and unexplained, but in this case I liked that. Dream Boy is a very peculiar, forgotten gem. When Eric Rothman meets Paul Lucy, the duo soon gets along beautifully. Over time, their relationship evolves in a passionate but dysfunctional one. The movie's elaborately failed closure only makes sense once you understand that the filmmaker's all-too-human desire for self-justification apparently trumped the ruthless self-control required to make a work of art. A brutally honest, at times embarrassingly raw, attempt to capture a modern-day, urban relationship, bittersweet and filled with memorable details, a huge leap forward for director Sachs. Keep the Lights On acknowledges, without belaboring, the performative nature of identity, how each of our claims to selfhood, be it romantic or professional, are staged on a shifting terrain of habit, fantasy, and desire. Before he worked on queer HBO series Looking, director Andrew Hay helmed British romantic drama Weekend, which followed two men, Cullen, New, who meet and begin a short but sweet sexual relationship the weekend before one of them leaves the country. The film received universal acclaim after its release in 2011, largely for its realistic and documentary-like portrayal of a gay relationship. The nostalgia of fleeting romance and what could have been is strong with this one. Heartfelt, thoughtful, and romantic, Weekend is a refreshing gay film full of laughter and emotions. Bangkok Love Story is a 2007 Thai film written and directed by Poj Arnon. A gay romantic crime action drama, it is the story of a man who falls in love with a gunman assigned to kill him. Mek is a cold assassin for hire sent to knock off a police informant. A twist of fate brings them together, and Mek is shot when he refuses to pull the trigger on him. They escape to a safe house where an indelible bond is forged when Mek is nursed back to health by handsome, married Eat. Mek returns to his boss to rectify the situation, but he appears and a bloody gunfight occurs. There's no turning back as enemies, friends and lovers are pitted against one another. Beautiful, meaningful, and underrated. Bangkok Love Story will come into your life. It will bring you action, great acting, and a great story. But then it will leave you crying over its depressing, yet memorable final act. The love that dare not speak its name gets a twist in this piercingly intense drama by young Danish director Nicolo Donato. A textbook example of the tragic passion genre, the film charts the growing homosexual attraction between two Danish neo-Nazis with an impressively taut control of structure and pacing. The galvanizing, slow-burn performances of the two leads, Lindhart and Densik, makes up for a lack of subplots in the pared-back script. Two neo-Nazi men meet and begin an illicit affair that causes an uproar when they are discovered. Former Danish servicemen Lars and Jimmy are thrown together while training in a neo-Nazi group. Moving from hostility through grudging admiration to friendship and finally passion, events take a darker turn when their illicit relationship is uncovered. When the life of a successful journalist is suddenly sidelined by a panic disorder, he copes by creating an alter ego that explores his past trauma. Daniel tries to suppress his emotional demons, but when he goes out for a jog or out to a nightclub becomes racked with fear and heads to his car to calm his nerves. The experience is as if he has claustrophobia in a large public space. When he is doing an important interview on live TV, Daniel has an attack and walks off the set. He returns to his apartment, a safe space he practically refuses to leave. Obviously, there's something eating away at Daniel, but he is so private about his life, he doesn't even admit he is gay, that it will take someone special to uncover all of his secrets. Almost fantasy-like. The lead actors are pretty convincing. An unfulfilled gay man in a stagnant relationship finds his life changed forever when he meets a struggling writer visiting the Redwoods country. Redwoods definitely beats most of them. It is a must-see film about two men who fall in love. It is a beautiful love story, and when I watched it, I simply fell in love with it. All the characters are so convincing. Sometimes you feel that Everett is lost. But he is lost because of what happens in the end. Loved that scene. Chase, Matthew, he is so convincing. The chemistry between the men is so instant and the story just grabs you. Brooding, witty, and emotional. George wants to kill himself after his partner of 16 years dies in a car accident. On his last day, his chance meetings with students, colleagues, and his best friend Charlie help him make a decision. Chic and elegantly shot. The face of grief that the actor Colin Firth wears in A Single Man is crumpled and gray. There is little movement in the face initially. It's a beautiful and gently furrowed mask, not yet old, despite the small brushstrokes of white at the temples. You might think that gravity alone was tugging at its mouth. But George, the middle-aged professor and single man of the title whom Mr. Firth plays with a magnificent depth of feeling, has had his heart broken and the pieces are still falling. A Single Man is an emotionally charged drama with knockout performances. In the late 1970s, two young men meet by chance and fall madly in love. An unexpected event, however, separates them. For 30 years, they pursue the hope of finding each other again. Novo a limpo is a touching portrayal of love between two men, capturing the essence of their relationship beautifully. Though it's not directly based on a true story, but the reason that it feels deeply personal and authentic stems from the heartfelt connection the writers, Ferzan Özpetek and Johnny Romoli, have with the themes explored in the film. It's an old-fashioned love story beautifully acted with two very charismatic actors that is heartfelt and pure romance. A Love to Hide transcends issues of homosexuality and the Holocaust to present a sweeping and unforgettable wartime epic. The film is set in 1942 Paris, where the Nazis are in control and the government persecutes the third sex by rounding up homosexuals and deporting them to concentration camps. Against this backdrop, two young gay lovers risk their lives to hide a childhood Jewish friend, Sarah, whose family has been killed by the Gestapo. A Love to Hide is a heart-wrenching love story and serves as a devastating reminder of the Nazi persecution of both gays and Jews and the ongoing struggle for universal human rights. Prayers for Bobby shows what a real struggle looks like. It shows love, passion, and extremes without being cliché. True story of Mary Griffith, gay rights crusader, whose teenage son committed suicide due to her religious intolerance. Based on the book of the same title by Leroy Aarons. The film shows a cruel reality between the LGBT community and the conservative church, the intolerance of the family and society due to ignorance, and based on a true story. It makes us see how the family completely influences Bobby's life and how he suffers beyond what is seen, reflecting very well a cruel reality of prejudice of people for a simple sexuality.
If you want more videos like this, then check out these two videos, or you can check the description links and don't forget to subscribe Pride Reviews for more new weekly updates.